Hello and welcome to our look ahead to what the papers will be bringing us tomorrow morning. And with me to do that is the journalist and writer Eva Simpson. We've also got Emily Ashton in, Whitehall correspondent for the Sun newspaper as well. Good evening to you both. Let's have a look at what the front pages have got in store for us tomorrow morning then. The Independent on Sunday has an exclusive with Labour leader Ed Miliband, who is promising to close a loophole in agency workers' rules, which he says is encouraging low-skill migration. Now, the paper also has a strong image of high tides battering Aberystwyth. The Observer leads on Labour condemning what it calls crass, ugly claims by Education Secretary Michael Gove on the First World War. PM in New Year cash giveaway is the headline on the Sunday Times. David Cameron is pledging to raise pensions until 2020. The front page also has a picture of 21-year-old student Edward Laxton, rescued in Aberystwyth after fears he'd been swept into the sea. Now, the Mail on Sunday's front page is all about the Church of England rewriting the words said by parents and godparents during christening ceremonies. They will no longer need to repent their sins during baptism. And the Sunday Telegraph has the headline, "An End to Pensions Lottery." Government plans which would allow retired workers to switch to a better annuity deals. So let's have a look. Quite an array of stories, actually, but you can feel it's the start to that last year before we enter proper election time next year, isn't it? You know, the proper election drive. It's almost like the starting pistol has been fired,
it has.
isn't it?
Well, you can feel it in most of the front pages because on a lot of them, at the Sunday Times, David Cameron has given an interview. In the Independent, Ed Miliband has written for them. And the Lib Dems are in the, I think it's the Sunday Telegraph. So, yeah, they're already, the gun has been fired, yes.
But it is also, in all fairness to politicians, it's that time of the year, everybody's looking ahead, everybody's thinking, what has 2014 got in store? The big one is money, is the economy. So the headline in the Sunday Times is PM in New Year cash giveaway. But is the devil in the detail?
Well, it is all about how much money people have got in their pockets, isn't it? That's really what all politicians are trying to kind of prove, that they can help them get more money. Ed Miliband calls it a cost of living crisis. David Cameron won't mention those words, but instead he has given an interview to the Sunday Times. He's kind of going for the grey vote, you could call it. He's pledging to raise pensions until 2020. They'll keep going up, state pensions, and he's going to keep this so-called triple lock so that pensions rise by at least 2.5% a year. And also he's hinted, well, he said he wants to cut taxes for all workers, and hinted that he wants to reduce even further the top rate of tax, the 45p.
But this is an election pledge as well. He's not doing this now as Prime Minister. This is if they stay in power next year.
When they get rid of
Well,
the Lib Dems,
he said in this interview, he says this is the first plank of the next general election manifesto. So he started the new year with a bang. He's saying this is what I'm going to promise you. And as we've just said, his first target is the elderly, because as the Sunday Times say, they're the people most likely to vote. They're the people most likely to turn out on election day. So strategically, he's thinking, right, who do I target first? The elderly. I'll give them something. So your pensions will be guaranteed to go up till 2020. I'm sure as the months go on, there'll be other people in his sights. And if he's already hinting at reducing the top rate of tax for the higher earners, you can already see the people who he's sort of trying to target. Because let's not forget, if you look at the polls, Labour is still ahead, and if there was an election tomorrow, the Tories would not win outright. So they have to start the year with a bang, because it will be over just like that, and we'll be into the home straight.
But it's also an optimistic message about the year to come, how 2014 really going to turn a corner after the recession. You know, we are hoping to. He's not promising people will feel, you know, more money in their pockets, but that the economy is getting better and better. And he's hoping that long-term economic plan message is actually going to hit home in May 2015.
That's the point you were making earlier, weren't you? Because people are still not sure whether they can trust Labour when it comes to the economy. They're still not quite sure whether they can sort of keep the recovery on track. And so this is why I'm sure we'll see more from the Tories especially, sort of hammering home their...
People probably feel they
Yes.
know what the Conservatives are about when it comes to austerity.
Exactly.
They probably feel the more... Slightly bad choice of words from the Prime Minister in that interview. He promises the sunshine after the rain, which, going by current events, probably wasn't the best choice of words.
He knew.
Also on the front page of the Sunday Times, 7 terror suspects free to walk the streets. Now, when you read this story, it's as shocking as the headline suggests. Some of these suspects who can't be named for legal reasons could be free to walk the streets, and they are accused of coordinating some pretty horrific plots that could have killed thousands of people. And it's quite bizarre, isn't it, that this could be allowed? But
well, these people are under these so-called terrorism prevention and investigation measures known as TPIMs. These replaced control orders in 2012. They've got this 2-year limit. So the 2-year limit is up. I think they're being released in kind of staggered measures, so different times. I don't know whether they're, walking the streets might be a bit strong. There will be, the Home Office of saying, look, we're not going to discuss individual cases and what's going to happen. But it seems to be that there will be some kind of surveillance.
Well, in response to the Sunday Times story reporting that 7 Al-Qaeda suspects have been taken off anti-terror restrictions, we've had a statement from the Home Office which says the police and security service believe the TPIMs, as you were describing, have been effective in reducing the national security risk posed by a number of individuals. However, they are just one weapon in the considerable armoury at their disposal and are imposed as part of a package of measures designed to disrupt a person's activities. So what they're obviously suggesting there, these people are going to be under watch and surveillance all the time, and there are other measures that can be put in place. They do say it's not possible to discuss individual cases, but the police and security service have been working for some time to put tailored plans in place to manage the risk posed by these individuals.
But the problem is that this will still cost millions of pounds a year to keep tabs on them.
£20 million, it says, for MI5 and the police to keep tabs on them. £20 million a year, but ultimately they can't keep them on these sort of orders for indefinitely.
But they can't try them because there's very sensitive evidence involved. Involves intelligence. And you can't deport them. So it's very difficult to know what to do with people. But 2 of them, I think there were 9 people on TPIMs. 2 of them have already absconded, and one of those was that man under a burqa last year. So
it is concerning. It is worrying, but reassurance there from the Home Office. Now let's move on to the Independent. And in the Independent on Sunday, Ed Miliband gets his chance.
Turn, exactly.
Gets his chance to make his election pledge.
For our the political leaders to write for the newspapers. And so Ed Miliband in the Independent on Sunday, he is targeting foreign workers, and he wants to clamp down on a loophole which allows British firms to pay lower wages to foreign workers, because he says that it's harming British workers. And again, he's sort of reusing his phrase, the cost of living crisis, and he wants to do something about it. But this isn't new. At the Labour Party conference in September, he made the same pledge. So this is something he's repeating.
Is the loophole new though? Because this was it was just for one country, wasn't it? Sweden, I think.
He made a similar pledge on foreign workers, and so in September he said to British firms, for every foreign worker you employ, you have to take on a British apprentice. So it's sort of the same ballpark, but it's the same pledge on foreign workers he wants to do something about. And I think it's a theme that will resonate with a lot of people. Absolutely.
Sweden have long argued that they need a huge amount of low-skilled workers in their call centres, because they have a lot of call centres. But when it was allowed for them, it meant the rest of the EU could do it as well. So basically, just to get this right, there are agencies that are allowed to override employing British people because foreigners, migrants are cheaper. They can employ them at a cheaper rate.
There's this loophole. But then, if you'll recall, last year Jamie Oliver was deemed quite controversial at the time that he would rather employ foreign workers because they worked harder. So there are a lot of jobs in Britain that are unfilled, and there's high youth unemployment. So there seems to be a problem, a disparity with young British people taking up these low-skilled jobs. I mean,
but there are also a lot of nearly a million young Brits who don't have a job, who really want a low-skilled job, and especially on building sites and things like that, who will see Eastern Europeans come over and take those jobs. I mean, there was
but there's nothing stopping them from doing the jobs. But they're here, they could do the job. So there must be a problem with.
I suppose Ed Miliband would argue that if they're going to have to be paid more, then that will be the problem there. But the fact that there's about 300,000 workers in Britain, many of whom are from overseas, who are paid below the minimum wage, I mean, that's quite shocking, isn't it? I had no idea it was that high, actually. So, you know, there's obviously the government keeps clamping down on employers who pay below the minimum wage, and Labour is now pledged the same thing as well.
Yeah, no, there was a report out very recently about the amount of people that have been employed on below the minimum wage, and there's a way that businesses manage to do it. They only pay them a certain amount of hours, and that's how they get away with it. Let's move on to the Daily Mail. Christenings. The Church of England has changed the wording, the promises that the parents and the godparents of the child make. Now, I've just compared the old one to the new one. This is when you're asked to reject evil, reject the devil, put your trust in Jesus Christ, and so forth. I mean, it looks to me that they've modernised it a lot, but there's one section which they've got rid of the word and the reference to the devil and rebellion against God, and that seems to have upset a lot of people, even within the Church of England.
Well, it says it's more EastEnders than Shakespeare. And who would want an EastEnders-sounding christening? Maybe a lot of people would. But I think, as you say, the devil is in the detail, and this is just an option. You don't have to have the new wording. You can stick to the traditional wording, or you can have the new wording which takes out the word devil. I think it's a good thing. I think it's interesting that the church is trying to modernise, it's trying to appeal to more people, because as we know, last year the figures emerged which showed year on year the number of people going to church is down, the number of people attending church services are down. So if the church are trying to do something to appeal to a wider
But do they have to get rid of any reference to the devil to do that? I mean,
but there's still talk of a rejection of evil, and it is still in there. So that the essence of the ceremony is still in there. It's not completely been sort of thrown out. But yeah, there's a word that's been taken out, and a lot of people get scared by change.
We're going to leave it there, I'm afraid. But many thanks to Emily and Eva for coming in and taking us through the morning papers.